Chapter 44, Like a Child. The League Council has voted to remove Syaoran as the chosen one if he doesn't return to Hong Kong immediately, Melanie said. This produced a prolonged pause from Kai, who took time to process the significance of Melanie's words. Finally, he said, "Is that necessarily a bad thing?" Sighing in exasperation, Melanie retorted, "You never know how to take things seriously, do you? Stupid of me to try to tell you all this." "I guess it does matter to Syaoran a lot," Kai commented blandly. "After all, he is completely caught up in the whole family honor business, which I personally believe is useless. Anyway, is being removed from the position of chosen one a really bad thing?" "Yes, it's the greatest disgrace imaginable to the clan. It's saying that Syaoran is not competent as the representative of the Li clan, that he dishonored his family, disobeyed the clan codes, and that he'll be stripped of all the titles that he had received from all the tests that he's passed." "Whoa, that's a little extreme," Kai said. "Just because he refuses to return to Hong Kong? What does his mother and uncle say?" Shaking her head, Melanie replied, "It's a rather complicated business. Many things piled up on top of each other. But such a thing would have happened if the great elder, the head of the Li clan, is in good health. But since the great elder is very ill and confined to bed right now, Syaoran's eldest uncle has taken over charge of the clan. As you know, he dislikes Syaoran immensely. Since Syaoran's eldest uncle is the second most prominent member of the clan, he's taking charge right now. Even Aunt Yaelin is helpless against him. She sent a letter explaining the situation with me, but she wanted me to break the news first." "So you're not even going to give Syaoran the letter?" Kai asked. "Isn't it better to just tell such an important thing to him and just get it over with? After all, he has the right to know." "Oh, he's finally settling down to find his true heart's desire. I don't want him to have to waver and be stressed again," Melanie said. "But he's going to find out some way, someday, and better through you than anyone else," Kai replied, sitting up from the chair. "It's not up to you to decide whether or not Syaoran can handle the news. If I were you, I would trust Syaoran's decision-making skills." Melanie sighed. She knew Kai was right, yet she had no will to convey such disheartening news to Syaoran. "Since Mizuki-san is not here, you two supervise the children's playroom," Toya told Syaoran and Erika when they arrived in the intern office after school on Friday. "There are many children than usual because many parents were injured in the earthquakes and didn't have to take care of their children, so they placed them in the playroom." "Yay! The scary Oni-chan isn't here today!" The children cheered upon seeing Erika and Syaoran enter the colorful room instead of the intimidating, bullying Kai with his sunglasses. "Play doll with us," one girl asked Erika. "I detest little kids. So smelly and messy," Erika said, wrinkling her nose. Shoo! Shoo! Get away from me. Play quietly in the corner over there." "That's not the way you handle children," Syaoran said. His attention was diverted to a wail from one of the younger boys. "Why? He stole my robot! Give it back!" The boy sniffled. "No, it's mine!" a mischievous boy retorted, holding up a shiny robot over his head. The younger boy jumped up and down, reaching for it, which is a difficult feat since he was left in a cast. "Stop all the noise," Erika snapped. "Sheesh, how old are you guys? Sit down and behave." Immediately, the children quieted and sat down stiffly. "Hey," Syaoran said weakly, "they're just children." "Well, you take care of them then." Saying this, Erika walked out of the playroom door with a slam. "Erika, what are you doing? Where are you going?" Eron asked, walking down the hallway with Sakura. I can't stand the children's playroom, Erika replied. Mizuki-kun is not here, so Syaoran-kun and I had to supervise today. But I just can't stand all the noise and commotion. With a crooked smile, Eron said, You and your short temper. What are you two doing here anyway? Erika asked curtly. We're running favors for Yukito-san, Sakura replied, holding up a bag full of extra bandages. I didn't ask you, Erika retorted to Sakura. I hate this hospital smell, and the white uniform, and the stifling atmosphere. I want to quit. Sakura-san, can you take these for me? I'll come back in a second, okay? Eron said, handing his share of bandages to Sakura. Erika, let's go. Puzzled, Sakura stared at Eron taking Erika's arm and walking out. Though she was used to Erika's turbulent mood swings by now, Erika was especially more irritable today. Oh well, she grinned. Syaoran must be taking care of the children all by himself. I'll just have a peep at the playroom. I wonder how Syaoran's handling things. Carefully, she opened the door a crack and peeked in. She could hear Syaoran's voice. It's not fair for a bigger person to jump on a smaller person. Yet this is a ruthless world and such things happen. It is wrong to use violence, but if you are under attack, it's important to be able to defend yourself. Syaoran said, Therefore, I will show you some basic moves to defend yourself. Sakura giggled. What was he doing? Teaching the children martial arts and giving lectures about violence? Yet all the children seemed rapt and were staring at Syaoran with round eyes in anticipation and gathered around him. Even those with conditions so that they couldn't move had turned their heads in his direction. Two boys seemed to be in the middle of a fight, pulled apart, and turned their attention to Syaoran. The most important thing is in defense, to protect yourself. It's not about honor, bravery, or heroism. It's okay to make a run for it when you have the chance, Syaoran continued. At this, Sakura giggled. What an un-Syaoran-like policy. With Syaoran's stubbornness, he would always face the enemy and fight till he won or dropped. Hearing the noise, Syaoran turned around to face Sakura, laughing at him from the doorway. What are you laughing at? He asked crossly. Oops. Sakura straightened her face. You look like you're having fun. No, I'm not, Syaoran replied. Wait till Kai comes back. The handsome Ni-chan is blushing, one of the girls exclaimed. I think he has a crush on Ni-chan. How cute. What? Syaoran stammered, turning more red. Little kids these days, so advanced for their age, Sakura exclaimed, equally red. A gruff voice came from the doorway. Sakura, what are you doing here? Yukito sent for bandages ages ago. Sorry, Sakura exclaimed, remembering her duty. She spun around to bump into her older brother. Toya glared down at Syaoran. Put more mind and thought into your task, and don't get distracted so easily. This is a hospital. We only need disciplined workers. But there's no one more disciplined than Syaoran-kun, Sakura protested. Go give the bandages to Yukito, Sakura. Obediently, Sakura left the room. Toya crossed his arms, staring at Syaoran with cool, midnight blue eyes. Meeting the piercing gaze, Syaoran commented, Sakura thinks the world of her older brother. Ignoring this comment, Toya replied, Maybe it's a little too late to say this, but I wish you'd stay away from my little sister. I'm sorry, but it is a little too late for you to say that, Syaoran said dryly. You're no good for her, Toya said. What she fails to see, I can see clearly. In the long run, you're bound to fail her. Ni-chan, what's the next step? Asked a boy who'd been practicing punches. Practice punching with your left arm, Syaoran told him, his gaze never leaving Toya's. What makes you so sure? I can surprise you. Ni-chan, what now? Another boy whined. Am I doing this right? Not much surprises me, Toya replied quietly. We'll continue this conversation until next time. Until then. I know discipline. I'll Pay attention in the hospital and be efficient and diligent, Syaoran reiterated. Almost chuckling, Toya replied, ready to leave. Then he paused and turned around. Hey, brat. What? Syaoran asked with a sigh of exasperation. When did you learn to carry on a civilized conversation? Toya asked. I told you that I could surprise you, Syaoran replied. Waiting till he was out of the room, Toya finally allowed a bemused smile to play on his lips. The doctor said you're well enough to go home now, Kai said, fingering the withered flowers in the vase on the hospital room nightstand. With a swipe of his hand, they were replaced by fresh white lilies. He said I can stay a few more days if I want to, Melanie replied, fingering the flowers with hidden awe. I know you're burying yourself into hospital because you're trying to avoid Syaoran. You can't avoid telling him the truth forever, Kai said grimly. Can you stop pestering me and mind your own business? Melanie snapped, lying down on her bed, careful not to upset her broken leg. If I'm not mistaken, you have plenty at hand yourself, Kaido magician. Furthermore, aren't you supposed to be in the children's playroom right now? Do you have that much time to spend lazing around here? Fine then, fine. Do what you want then. But if you think you're doing what's right, you're deeply mistaken. Crossly, Kai walked out of the door and slammed the door shut. Did Melanie truly intend to keep the whole Syaoran business a secret? In the hallway, he bumped into Sakura and Syaoran. Hey, Kaido-kun. You were here the entire day? Sakura exclaimed. No wonder you weren't at school. The nurse in the playroom was really angry, too, because you didn't show up. How's Melanie now? Sakura's continuous chatter made his nerves tingle. Without heeding Sakura, Kai continued to walk. Before Kai could escape, Syaoran grabbed onto Kai's shoulder and said in a low voice, Answer Sakura when she's speaking to you. It's rude if you don't. The gaze that Kai gave in return over the bridge of his sunglasses was so icy and hostile that Sakura stammered, It's okay. Kai tried to brush Syaoran's hand off, but he found that Syaoran's grip was very firm indeed. Finally, Kai responded, Go ask her yourself. I was planning to, Sakura said, sweat dropping at Kai's sudden coldness. If you were here, why didn't you go to the children's playroom anyway? Enrique and Syaoran had to take your place instead. Why should I go there? I hate noisy, bawling children, Kai replied curtly. But it was your shift today, Sakura reminded, and the hospital needs all the extra hands it can get because there's so many more patients than usual because of the earthquakes. That's the hospital's problem, Kai stated. Finally, knocking off Syaoran's iron grip, he disappeared down the hallway. What's with him today? Syaoran muttered. Come, let's go see Melanie-chan, Sakura said, disgusted with Kai's antagonistic demeanor, yet sympathetic all the same. Sakura-chan, what are you doing this Sunday? Chiharu asked at school the next day, which was Saturday. The journalism class has to go to Tokyo Art Museum to see The Thief of the Night piece by the artist Shin-san, since we're planning to write an extensive documentary on the Kaido magician in our paper. I'm kind of busy tomorrow, Sakura said, her eyes flickering towards Syaoran's desk. Why? Do you have a date with someone? Chiharu inquired, eyes turning wide. Did you finally decide to go out with Lee-kun? No, it's nothing like that, Sakura defended, shaking her head rapidly. It's true. She is meeting with Lee-kun, though, Tomeo said, smiling. Oh, pity. I can't videotape. What? Really? Chiharu exclaimed. That's so sweet. I knew ever since the best couple contest that you two will end up together. Of course, I was thrown off when you became closer to Eron-kun lately, but personally, I'm rooting for Lee-kun. Please, Chiharu-chan, don't say things like that so loudly. People will misunderstand, Sakura pleaded desperately. Anyway, I'll go to the museum on my own next time. Ha, it's okay, Aki interrupted. We're having a school field trip to the museum pretty soon anyway. We can all see it then. Okay, Sakura said, relieved. Scowling, Aki said, where is Mizuki-kun anyway? I think it's time he got a new layout editor. Oh yeah, we have to work extra hours at the hospital today. As you guys know, there are a lot of casualties from the recent earthquakes, and they need extra hands at the hospital. Do you work there too? Miho, who was always visiting class 3-2, asked in mock surprise. I didn't know. Aki turned red. Come on, last time I had a basketball tournament, so I couldn't go. I'm going today. Oops, I forgot there's a class representative meeting today. Oh, I guess I can't go after all. Today's schedule is different from usual, Yukito told Sakura and Aaron when they arrived at his desk in the intern office after school on Saturday. A few hospital staff and I will go to the children's orphanage to give the children their yearly vaccination. I want you two to accompany us and help supervise the children while they are waiting. The doctor, 2 nurses, Yukito, Sakura, and Aaron, arrived at the orphanage, a 10-minute drive in the hospital van from the Kinoshi Hospital. The head of the orphanage greeted them, and one of the assistants led Sakura and Aaron to the recreation room. All the children are gathered in this room, the assistant told them. There probably won't cause any problem. The vaccination room will be across the hallway. We'll call out the children 2 at a time. If there are any problems, you can come to me or you can ask Hanada Yuriko-san. A slight, pale girl with short hair pulled back into ponytail bowed to Aaron and Sakura, balancing a basket full of laundry in one arm. Yuri-chan? Sakura asked hesitantly in instantaneous recognition. From class 3-1, right? I didn't know you worked here. Smiling, Yuri replied, I do volunteer work here every other day. Let's see, the older children manage pretty well by themselves, but the younger ones are rather restless today, especially because the older ones are scared them about the big sharp needle. If you can handle them while I hang up laundry, it would be nice. Sure, Sakura said. Right, Aaron-kun?
Huh?
Aaron had a vacant look on his eyes as he stared at the cramped, messy room with faded wallpaper and spider webs on the ceiling. At the sound of one of the children bawling when another pushed him off the rocking horse, Aaron cringed. Aaron-kun, are you listening? Sakura asked again. She shook Aaron's arm. At her touch, Aaron flinched and stepped back. His breath was uneven. Since Sakura was so used to Aaron being composed and cool, the note of panic in his expression unsettled her. Aaron-kun? Sakura watched Aaron's golden hazel eyes flicker, then focus back on her.
Sorry, it's kind of stuffy in here. Hanada-san, let me hang up the laundry.
Without waiting for Yuri's response, he took the basket full of clothes from Yuri's arms.
Where should I hang these up?
Turn around the corner and go out the back door. The clotheslines are in the backyard, Yuri stammered, her cheeks flushing slightly. Sakura noticed that Yuri's gaze didn't leave Aaron for a moment. She couldn't help wondering if that girl still liked Aaron. Seeing the way Yuri became flustered around Aaron, Sakura decided that Yuri's feelings had remained the same over the past few weeks. When Aaron was out of earshot, Yuri murmured, He hasn't changed since back then. Since when? Did you know him from before he came to Seiju Junior High? Sakura asked in response. Yuri had never betrayed any signs of knowing Aaron from before. Kind of. We were really young, but I don't think he remembers me anymore, Yuri said softly. I wonder what he was like back then, Sakura mused. He hasn't told you anything about his childhood? Yuri asked, picking up the scattered toys on the floor. No, I just remember he told me that he used to live around this neighborhood when he was young, and that he doesn't remember either of his parents, but that's about it. Funny, huh? Now that I think of it, I've known him for over a year, and I still don't know anything about him. Sakura stared down at her feet. She hadn't even tried. Wah! Suchi Oi! Su-chan broke the doll! A girl with pigtails was holding to her chest a headless doll. A dark-haired boy, around 7 or so, was scowling fiercely and held the doll's head in his fist. Heh, Baki-chan, it's only a stupid doll, the boy said. He threw the doll head at the girl. Su-chan beheaded the doll. Su-chan beheaded Annie doll. Meanie, you're selfish and mean. The girl trailed off, sniffing as she tried to join the neck to the body. Subaru, how many times do I have to tell you not to bully other children? Yuri scolded in a firm but gentle voice. You hurt Annie doll. Now apologize. No. Why should I apologize? It's only a stupid doll, Subaru retorted. Then his eyes flashed to Sakura, who was gaping at him. What are you staring at, ugly hag? Wait, ugly hag? Me? Sakura pointed at herself. Yeah, you, hideous witch, Subaru retorted, sticking out his tongue at Sakura. Head drooped. Sakura sank down to her knees, muttering, oh, what did I ever do to you? Subaru, is that what you say to a nice, pretty Oni-san who came to help you guys? Yuri said reproachfully. Go over there to the corner and don't speak to anyone until you feel sorry for what you did and want to apologize. Sulkily, Subaru stomped off to the corner of the world and slouched down, glaring at Sakura. Why do strangers always put me on the spot? Sakura thought. She stared at Yuri in admiration. How could she be so kind yet disciplined with children at the same time? For the next few hours, Sakura tried her best to entertain the children's whims and played housekeeping with the younger children as the vaccination process went on. Thinking about it, Eran-kun has been gone an awful long time, considering he just went to hang the laundry, Sakura commented. I wonder if he got lost. Not that this place is very large. Do you want to go look for him? I have things under control right now, Yuri suggested. Oh, okay, I'll be right back. Sakura found Eran sitting on the back porch. To her mild amusement, all the bed sheets and random articles of children's clothes were hung neatly by clothespins to the clothesline. For some reason, she had the impression that Eran was not capable of doing household chores. At the creaking of her footsteps, Eran turned around warily. Eran-kun, what are you doing here? Sakura asked, leaning over.
Sorry, Eran said. It's too stuffy inside. Made me feel suffocated. I know I'm a callous person. I hate shabbiness, poverty, illness, whining children, and most of all, looking at all these things. Just being near them.
But Eran-kun, people don't choose to have poverty or illness. Some people are just less fortunate than others. So, if it is within the abilities of the more fortunate people, they should extend their arms out and help others with their capability.
Sakura, do you consider yourself a fortunate person?
Eran asked, turning towards Sakura. I do, Sakura slowly replied. I'm healthy, have all my body parts, a loving family, great friends. There are times when I also feel callous and selfish, greedy and unsatisfied, yet, in the end, I still consider myself a lucky person. Don't you, Eran-kun?
No,
Eran replied shortly. At this, Sakura was taken aback. But you have so many things at your hand. There are numerous people who are so envious of you.
I thought you were a smart girl, Kinemoto Sakura. I guess I was mistaken after all.
I don't think I'm terribly quick or clever, but I don't consider myself dumb. I have more self-pride than that, Sakura said stiffly. Chuckling, Eran said,
I'm sorry if I offended you. It's just that your life philosophy is so simplistic and optimistic and open-hearted. I can't really emphasize with the notion that all humans are innately good, that deep inside their hearts are pure and righteous, that the striver to reward in the end, and after all the rainfall always comes a rainbow. I tend to believe more in the darker side of human nature, the cold-hearted, animalistic instinct of survival, the greed, the rottenness of the human heart, the power and the hunger of it.
Shaking her head, Sakura said, I can't say that I am as foolishly optimistic as I used to be when I was younger, because the more I see of the world, the more depressing aspects I see. Yet, at the same time, like yin and yang, juxtaposed to the darker side, there are the brighter, beautiful sides, the part which gives me faith in humankind and human emotions. Just then, a sharp pound came on her head. Ouch! It was that bratty boy, Subaru. He had thrown a doll's head at Sakura's head. What was that for? Sakura commanded. Ugly witch, why are you flirting with a guy instead of looking after us? Subaru said, making faces at her. What? Sakura leaped up to her feet. Come over here. No! Nimbly, the boy dodged Sakura's arms and ran down the hallway. When Sakura tried to chase him, Aaron grabbed her arm.
Don't bother. He just wants attention. If you ignore him, he'll stop bothering you.
Hoi? Strange how Aaron seemed to know so much about children when he hated them.
Here, I'll go back inside now. Sorry for leaving you on your own, Aaron said.
Upon returning to the recreation room, Sakura found that most of the children were whimpering because of the steen from the shots. The pig-tailed girl was still weeping over her headless Annie doll. Meanwhile, Subaru had already returned to the room and was busily smashing up the Lego castle that the other children had made. Subaru-chan, what are you doing? Sakura exclaimed, hurriedly pulling Subaru apart from the Lego castle. Heh! Attacking the castle! Subaru replied in a matter-of-fact way, sweeping off the last block of the Lego from the ground. Heh! Victory! Su-chan, don't you do anything constructive? Sakura sighed, wiping the sweat off her brows. This kid left no moment for distraction. Heh! Nope, witch! Subaru said, folding his arms in front of his chest and glaring at her. So mind your own business. Why, you little brat! You're worse than Syaoran when I first met him, Sakura exclaimed in exasperation, finally losing her temper. Then she remembered Aaron telling her that this child probably just wanted attention. The assistant came into the room. Subaru, it's your turn. No, I don't want to get shots, Subaru stated, squirming to escape the room as Sakura grabbed his wrist. Oh, no, you don't, Sakura said, holding him firmly and carrying him over to the vaccination room. The two nurses pinned Subaru down the bed, and the doctor pulled the boy's pants down and injected the shot. Subaru screamed, clearly not because of pain, but to create a commotion. Su-chan, aren't you a man? Now hush, or else you'll scare the younger children, Sakura hissed. How? It hurts. I'm going to die, Subaru continued. Don't be silly. No one dies because of vaccination shots, Sakura said as Subaru got off the bed sulkily. I'm going to die anyway, Subaru replied. You're only 7. Not for a long, long time anyway, Sakura said, trying to remain patient. What do you know, ugly hag? Subaru muttered, walking out of the room and slamming the door. Taking a deep breath, Sakura counted to 10, trying to prevent herself from completely losing her temper. Placing a soothing hand on Sakura's shoulder, the assistant told her, try to be sympathetic to Subaru. He has a disease, a form of brain tumor, and his method of dealing with this illness is to cause as much trouble to other people as possible. He's ill? Sakura asked. But he's so young. It's curable, though, right? It's not too serious right now, the assistant said, sighing. He just needs to take medications. Eventually, he'll have to have surgery before the tumor grows larger and spreads, but the surgery's too expensive for the orphanage funds to afford. Then what will happen to Subaru? We're hoping we can find him a sponsor, the assistant replied grimly before Subaru's illness takes a critical turn. Dazed, Sakura walked out of the door. Someone as energetic and young as Subaru. It wasn't fair. Seeing a figure moving in the children's bedroom, Sakura peeped in. It was Syaoran, sitting on the floor and gluing Annie doll's head back on, and the pigtailed girl was crouched beside him, watching in rapture. Grinning crookedly when he saw Sakura peeking in, Syaoran said,
"That pigtail girl kept on crying and crying because of her doll was headless, so I'm trying to fix it up. Hey, can I have your ribbon?"
"Huh? Yeah." Untying the red ribbon that held back her hair, she handed it to Syaoran. Carefully, Syaoran tied the red sash around the doll's head. Though it didn't camouflage the dirt-smudged face or the faded patched dress of the doll, it still made the doll look a little brighter.
"There you go,"
Syaoran said, handing the doll back to the girl.
"Now, go back to the children and don't cry anymore."
Hugging the doll to her chest, she smiled brightly. "Thank you, Ani-san. Thank you." Then she ran out of the room with merry laughter.
Sighing, Syaoran muttered, "Children are so easy to please."
Smiling slightly, Sakura said, "See, I can't help feeling that children are innocent and innately good. It's unfair to think that people are born evil when we see children." It was one of the rare moments that she saw Syaoran show a kinder, gentle face, making her reconsider her set of images of Syaoran.
You forget that I despise children," Syaoran said tersely, shattering Sakura's newly formed impression.
"You and Erika both dislike children," Sakura recalled. "Maybe it's because I'm the youngest and never had to take care of a baby, but I love children. I've always wanted a younger sibling. Maybe because I was always bullied by Nichan, but if I have a younger sibling, I would be really kind and play with the child all the time. When I'm with children, I feel peaceful and carefree, like I'm a child again."
"You are a child at heart,"
Syaoran commented, slightly smiling.
"I spent all my childhood wishing that I was an adult, wishing that I could have control over my life. I hated being young, being helpless, being ignorant."
"I bet you're still a child at heart too, Syaoran-kun," Sakura said, the recent experience of becoming 5 years old still fresh in her mind. She continued, "Everyone's a child at heart, I think. Even the coldest, most callous person and the oldest, wisest person."
"No, I haven't been a child ever since I was 7,
Syaoran corrected, his lips curved cynically.
"When Erika and I finally left that miserable orphanage."
At his words, Sakura's eyes rounded. Through the window, she stared at the frayed white sheets hung neatly up in the backyard, and blowing in the wind as she digested Syaoran's words. The orphanage. What orphanage? Did they grow up in an orphanage? Surely not Syaoran and Erika. For the first time, she was at a loss of words. "Syaoran-kun."
"Yeah. Erika and I grew up in an orphanage. I told you before that we didn't have either parent. Where do you think that put 2 motherless, relativeless brats? In the orphanage, of course. The place where we stayed was hell. Real children were always crying, except they couldn't make any sound in fear that they'd be beaten, where they never had enough to eat or enough clothes for the cold winter, and where there was no room for privacy, where everything had to be shared, where little girls couldn't even have a doll of their own."
I'm sorry, Sakura stammered, at a loss of words. I never knew."
"Of course you didn't," Syaoran said shortly. "Who would expect that Erika and I lived firsthand with such dirty wretchedness? We live like a count and a countess now. But maybe the Chain Syaoran back then was a completely different person. After all, he was only a child."
Pausing, he stared at Sakura's sorrowful green eyes.
"Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me with sympathy. I don't want it, nor I deserve it."
Abruptly standing up, Syaoran walked out the door.
"Hey, I'm going home now. Tell the others that I feel sick, so I had to leave early.
It was 9 p.m. when the last child was vaccinated. There had been so many cases of children sneaking away and hiding that it took much longer than had been anticipated. It didn't help that Subaru upset the nurses by knocking over their medicine boxes and unraveling bandage all over the floor. It took forever to straighten things out, and Subaru was rewarded with no dinner.
Thank you for your great help today, Sakura-san. Sorry we kept you so late, Yukito said. I hope Jane-san feels better. I'd like to take you home since it's so late, but I have to return to the hospital. Will you be okay, or I can take you home first?
No, it's okay. Yuri-chan and I are going in the same direction. So I'm fine, Sakura reassured. To the children, she waved. Bye, guys. See you again. Bye, Sakura-ni-san. Come back again. The children called back, waving. The bright, energetic, genial manner of Sakura had been an immediate favorite among them. Hope I never see you again, ugly hag, Subaru shouted, sticking out his tongue. His stomach rumbled, and then Sakura laughed. He scowled. Whew, today was exhausting, Sakura said, walking slowly down the night street. How do you manage this almost every day, Yuri-chan? Oh, you get used to the lively children, Yuri replied. Anyway, I like playing with them. Today, Sakura saw Hinata Yoriko in a complete new light and was in awe and respect of the girl's composure and level of maturity. It was quite hard to believe Yuri was her own age. Was it the environment she grew up in? Hey, Yuri-chan, you said you knew Eron-kun from when you were really young, right? Yeah, Yuri replied slowly, as if hesitant to talk about it. By any chance, did you know him from the children's orphanage? Halting, Yuri stared at Sakura. You knew? Hurriedly, Sakura said, Sorry, I didn't mean to be nosy. It's just that I had some questions about Eron-kun. You really don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. No, I don't mind talking about it at all. Yeah, I knew Eron and Erika from the orphanage. One not too far from here, Yuri replied. I was afraid that if my friends found out that I was from the orphanage, they would shun me, so I kept silent about my background. That's why I showed no recognition of Eron and Erika when they first transferred to Seiju Junior High. I was sure they didn't want to associate themselves back to then, nor me either. There's nothing to be ashamed about having grown up in an orphanage, Sakura said quickly. I'm sure it wouldn't matter where you're from to your friends. I certainly don't mind. Smiling again, Yuri said, I never doubted Sakura-chan from the beginning, so I guess you want to hear more about Eron and Erika? Yeah, if you don't mind talking about it. What were they like back then? Looking at the treetops, Yuri replied, They were an inseparable twosome. It was always Eron and Erika, Erika and Eron. Some children thought they were stuck up, since they rarely talked or played with the other children, but I know it's because they only had each other in this world. Oh, I envied them, because while the other orphans were all alone, they had each other to love and cherish. They had a reason for living. Eron back then, similar to now, was mature for his age, always protective of his sister since Erika was very weak because of her illness. Though he had opportunities to make friends with the other children, he always stayed by his twin sister and always defended her when the others teased her. That's why people thought that the beautiful twins were stuck up and problematic, hard to approach. Wait, Erika was ill? Sakura interrupted, finding the fact hard to digest. It was becoming much clearer why Erika hated the stifling atmosphere of the hospital and why both twins hated cramped places and children so much. Yes, something to do with her heart, I think, Yuri said. Since her heart was weak, she couldn't run or play with the other children and spent most time indoors or in hospital. That's why she could make no friends with only Aaron to look after her, and he was only a child too. He really thought the world of his younger sister. I remember he used to work till late at night every day, cleaning and stacking items at the local convenience store to save up money to buy his sister a brand new doll with golden hair and blinking eyes. The kind that used to be popular when we were little. Hard to picture, huh? Shaking her head, Sakura remarked, "It's completely different from the impression I've had of those two." I guess they've changed since then. I found it hard to believe that they are the same Aaron and Eureka that I used to know, Yuri said ruefully. I was adopted by a kind old lady shortly after my 7th birthday, so I was never sure what happened to them. At the time, Eureka was so ill, she stayed permanently in the hospital. And Aaron spent most of his time there. But looking at Eureka now, I'm glad to see her heart got better, and she seems perfectly healthy now. They were certainly the prettiest in the entire orphanage, identical except in the length of hair, though Aaron grew his now also. So maybe they both got adopted by a wealthy person who could afford to give Eureka cardio surgery in America. I heard rumors that Aaron and Eureka traveled all over the world before coming back to Tomita. Sakura recalled Aaron stating that he and Eureka lived only with servants, so it wasn't likely they were adopted by someone. Then, how did they leave the orphanage? When they approached a cross-section in the road, Yuri said, "Well, I go this way." Oh, thank you for telling me everything, Sakura said, not realizing how quickly time had passed while she listened to Yuri. I really appreciate it. No problem, Yuri replied. It's refreshing to talk about everything so frankly after bottling everything into memory for so long. Well, see you at school on Monday. See you, Sakura waved. Frowning, she turned around and peered at the shadow-cast bushes. She had the funniest sense that something was following her, but she hadn't mentioned it to Yuri because she didn't want to alarm her. Was it a dark force? Truthfully, she was too exhausted to care, and her mind was in bewilderment, overwhelmed by the new, unexpected details about the twins' history. Entering her house and kicking off her shoes, Sakura called out, "I'm home, Oto-san!" Coming out of the kitchen, Fujata said, "You worked until late today, Sakura-san. The dinner must be getting cold." An hour later, Toya's heavy footsteps came on the porch. Leaping up from the kitchen chair, Sakura ran up to the door. "You're late, Oni-chan. There's no dinner left for you." Nah.
"I had an evening shift at the hospital," Toya said, "and I'm starving, Kaiju. Oh yeah, I found this creature sleeping on our porch." He held up a small boy with tousled dark hair by the collar. He said he was looking for you."
"Ouch! Let me go, you ogre!" the child grumbled, trying to kick Toya. As she recognized the squirming boy, Sakura exclaimed, "Subaru-chan, what are you doing here?" "I followed you home, stupid hag," Subaru replied, finally loosening Toya's grip on his collar and sitting down firmly on the ground, legs crossed. "And I'm not going back to that orphanage." Hands on hips, Sakura scolded, "Su-chan, everyone must be frantically searching for you right now. Come here, I'll take you back." Retaining his position seated on the floor, Subaru retorted, "No, I'm not moving 1 inch from here, and you can't make me go back. Besides, nobody will notice that I'm gone." "Su-chan, don't be difficult. You have to go back," Sakura persisted.
"Sakura-san, why don't you just let him stay overnight? It's too late to take him back anyway," Fujata reasoned. "You can call the head orphanage and tell her Subaru-san is safe, and he can return tomorrow."
Arms crossed, Subaru stated, "Spend the day with me, and I'll go back to the orphanage tomorrow evening, without any fuss." "But tomorrow's Sunday," Sakura protested, bending down to Subaru. Sakura pleaded, "Oni-san has an important meeting tomorrow, so I can't play with you." Pouting, Subaru replied, "It's okay. Take me along then." "Why? Is it a date with your boyfriend or something?" No, Sakura blushed. It's my birthday tomorrow. If I return, I'll probably be grounded and sent to the room without any meals," Subaru said. "I don't see why you can't spend the day with me. Unless it's a very special date with your boyfriend, that is." "I said it's not," Sakura exclaimed. "Fine, I'll call the orphanage head right now and ask her if I can return you tomorrow evening." "Yay!" Subaru clapped in joy. Relenting at the sight of Subaru smiling so widely, Sakura called the orphanage immediately. "Yes, Subaru somehow followed me home. He's safe. I'm very sorry. I don't know how he did it. Yeah. It's too late in the night, so I thought it might be better for him to sleep at my house, and I was wondering if he could spend the day with me tomorrow. I'll take good care of him and promised he won't cause any trouble." "Of course it won't be any trouble for me. I'll return him in time for dinner." "Okay, thank you very much." Sakura hung up the receiver. In the midst of eating dinner with Toya on the Kinemoto kitchen tables, Subaru asked, mouthful of food, "Is it okay?" "Yep." Giving an okay signal, Sakura grinned. She just hoped that Syaoran would be in a very understanding mood the next day. Yawning, Sakura stood in front of King Penguin Park, waiting for Syaoran. It was exactly 5 to 7 Sunday morning. She was not only on time, but early. She was dressed in a blue and white plaid jumper over a white cotton blouse, and her hair was neatly pulled into 2 high pigtails at each side of her head and tied with a narrow blue and white ribbons. "Kaijo Nisan, why are you all dressed up?" Subaru asked. Yawning also. Ugly Hag was replaced with Toya's old nickname for Sakura, Monster. Subaru was also dressed in fresh clothes that Toya wore when he was that age, stored away neatly in boxes by Nadesco. "Ugh, why did we have to wake up so early?" A familiar sound of barking came down the road. A pale, golden tan colored puppy with pointed ears came leaping down the road to the park and joyfully jumped into Sakura's wide open arms. "Oh, Wolfie-chan!" Sakura exclaimed. "Oh, what are you doing here?" Then she looked up expectantly. "Ugh, what is that ugly creature?" Subaru demanded. "Oh, what are you talking about? Wolfie-chan is the cutest puppy in the world." Staring down at the panting puppy disdainfully, Subaru said, "You have strange taste." Finally, Sakura caught a glimpse of Syaoran in pale beige pants and a crisp white flannel over a white shirt, strolling down the road. "You're 10 minutes late, Syaoran," she called out. Upon reaching Sakura, Syaoran replied, "I was planning on making you wait 10 hours, but luckily I'm too nice to do such a thing. I came as slowly as I could, though." Then why are you out of breath?" Subaru pointed out. Syaoran flushed. He had run all the way there because he was afraid he might make Sakura wait. When he was in Sakura's view, he had slowed down and pretended to take all the time in the world. Unfortunately, this little kid had seen right through his act. "So you're Kaijo Nisan's important date, Lee Syaoran," Subaru commented. Hand on chin, he scanned Syaoran up and down. "Better looks than I expected, but crappy personality." With a dark expression painted on his face, Syaoran pointed to the kid and demanded, "Who is this brat?" Well, it's a long story," Sakura began, twiddling her thumbs. "He's from the orphanage, but it's his birthday today, and he followed me home, and somehow he ended up sleeping over at my house, and we have to spend the day with him, and—" Wait a second," Syaoran interrupted. "Slow down. I can't understand a word you're saying. You certainly don't mean to tell me that we have to spend the entire day with this kid." Slowly, Sakura nodded. Staring at Sakura, Syaoran demanded, "So you're going to tell me that I sacrificed how many Sundays in a row to end up babysitting a kid?" Again, Sakura nodded. "Sorry," she squeaked in a small voice. "Please, it's only a day. I need to return him for dinner."
"Huh, no wonder the ugly hag said that your temper is only better than mine," Subaru stated to Syaoran with a smirk on his face. "But I think you're worse." Huh.
Blocking Subaru's mouth with her hand, Sakura said, "When did I say that? Ouch, you bit my hand."
"I heard you clearly tell me yesterday. You're even worse than when Syaoran when I first met him," Subaru insisted. "Don't you remember? I know you're dumb, but don't tell me you have faulty memory also."
Eyes slanted stonily, Syaoran crossed his arms in front of him. "Sakura, surely you don't go around talking about me behind my back to children." Quickly changing the subject, Sakura yawned again. "Why do we have to meet so early, though? It's Sunday, a rare chance to sleep in." "Well, I thought we could resume our martial arts lessons with the kid included," Syaoran replied blandly. "We used to meet out in the middle of winter at 5 a.m., you know." Sakura looked slightly horrified. She hadn't thought that Syaoran was this stoic. He planned on teaching her martial arts today. She'd gotten all dressed up for no reason. She couldn't fight with this kind of outfit. Of course, she shouldn't have hoped too high, but still. Finally, she noted that Syaoran was wearing clothes unsuitable for martial arts training. She could have seen right through his trick from the beginning, for Syaoran had a teasing twinkle in his eye. Seeing the momentary dismay expression on Sakura's face, Syaoran chuckled. "I was just kidding, you know, to punish you for standing me up for so long, not to mention bringing a kid along. So I request that you eat breakfast with me as well as lunch and dinner, of course. If you had agreed last week, it would have been just lunch. Now I've increased the criteria, and we'll have dinner together after the kid goes back." Sakura smiled. That wasn't that bad of a punishment at all. She let go of Wolfie-chan, who jumped down to the ground and began yapping at Syaoran. He was being pretty decent about bringing along Subaru after all. "Troublesome dog," Syaoran grumbled. "Shouldn't have brought you along." "Thanks for bringing Wolfie-chan," Sakura said, rubbing her nose to the puppy's soft fur. I wasn't planning to," Syaoran said defiantly, "but he just tagged along."
"It's so ugly. It looks like a little wolf." Subaru started crouching down and poking Wolfie-chan. "Stupid dog." "Arf, arf, arf." Wolfie-chan licked Subaru's face. "Hey, that tickles." Subaru laughed. Tentatively, he stroked Wolfie-chan's back. Bending over and patting the puppy's head, Sakura said, "His given name is Vega, like the star Vega of Lier, which means swooping eagle. But everyone calls him Wolfie-chan because he looks like a small wolf." "Stupid name. You named him, right?" Subaru commented, scratching Wolfie-chan's chin. Then his face lightened in a broad grin. "Wolfie-chan likes me, doesn't he? Can I hold him? How old is he?" "Why, Wolfie-chan does like you, Su-chan," Sakura said, smiling. Maybe Subaru was a nice kid after all. The puppy wasn't nice to all strangers. For example, he took delight in biting Kai's ankle. "So, what should we have for breakfast?" Syaoran asked. Sakura pointed the ice cream truck and pointed to it. "That!" "What? Ice cream for breakfast?" "So what? I've never done that before. Ni-chan would never let me do something like that for breakfast." "My treat," Sakura exclaimed. "Yay! Ice cream! I rarely get ice cream. Can we try it, please? I want the chocolate flavor," Subaru exclaimed. "Oh, fine," Syaoran relented. Recalling her resolution from last Sunday, Sakura demanded, "Hey, Syaoran, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?" I don't have any particular. It changes depending on my mood,"
Syaoran replied without thought.
Oh, Sakura said, crestfallen, looking down at her feet. Which flavor do you want then? Noticing the disappointed expression on Sakura's face, Syaoran quickly retaliated. Right now, I think I feel like having vanilla ice cream. Vanilla? Sakura smiled brightly. 2 vanilla cones, 1 chocolate, 1 strawberry, all double scoop, she said to the ice cream vendor. At times, she wondered if Syaoran could read her mind. Soon, Syaoran and Sakura were licking double-scooped vanilla ice cream on a waffle cone. The strawberry flavor went to Wolfie-chan. Yummy! Subaru exclaimed, quickly licking his chocolate-flavored ice cream to keep it from melting. Let's go to the aquarium next. I've never been to the aquarium before. I want to see the sharks. Of course, the aquarium was not an ideal spot for holding a serious conversation. Oh well, shrugging to Sakura, Syaoran asked,
Do we have a choice?
Sakura hadn't been to the aquarium since her semi-date with Yukito 5 years ago. Surrounding her was the aqua blueness of water and swarms of fishes and eccentric sea creatures. Ooh, look! It's an electric eel! And that's a shark! Subaru exclaimed, jumping from place to place. Subaru, don't get in people's way! Sakura called out. Turning to Syaoran, she commented, He seemed like an angry problem child when I first saw him at the orphanage yesterday, but he's only a child. Now that I look at him again, he's kind of cute.
You think everything is cute, Syaoran replied dryly.
Peering at the greenish seahorses, Sakura asked, Syaoran, did you know that Aaron and Erika grew up at the orphanage? Kaiju Nisan, come over here! Look at the shark's teeth! Subaru said, tugging at Sakura's skirt and squirming through the crowd to the shark's tank. One of the larger kids pushed him over. Ouch! I can't see! Sighing, Sakura lifted Subaru up by his waist, struggling because he was heavier than he looked. Can he see now? She asked, short of breath. Hold me up higher! Subaru demanded. You're quite heavy. Straining to lift him up over the heads of the crowd, Sakura asked, Can you see now? Ugh, no, not at all, Subaru replied, squirming to see the shark. Without any words, Syaoran took Subaru from Sakura's arms and hoisted the boy up by the waist, high above the heads of the people. Sakura stared at Syaoran in brief gratitude. Wow! Oh, wow! I can see now! Just look at the size of that shark! It's awesome! Subaru exclaimed, clapping in delight. Nisan! Look! Can you see? Does it eat people?
No, this one is a tame shark. But there are ferocious sharks in the ocean that devour little naughty children, Syaoran said, grinning slightly. Actually, he himself didn't remember the last time he'd been to an aquarium. Ugh, I've never seen the ocean, Subaru said. I've seen it in pictures. It's so blue and big with no wind to it. Ugh, I wish I could swim across the end of the ocean and see what's there. There's just more land, Syaoran said, setting Subaru down on his feet. The continent of America.
No, I think Mom and Dad would be on the other side of the ocean, Subaru said. They're waiting for me at the end, waiting for me to grow big enough to swim across on my own, and they'll be waiting for me there, even if it takes a long time. Won't they? Kneeling down to be face level with Subaru, Syaoran replied gently.
Of course they would, of course. And that's why Subaru has to be a good boy and work hard towards becoming a strong man in the future.
The head of the orphanage tells me that I'm a problem child, that I'll grow up to be a delinquent. That is, if I don't die from a brain tumor. If I do die, she told me that I will go to hell because I am a bad boy. And bad boys go to hell and burn in a fiery pit for eternity. And I'll never be able to see mother and father, Subaru said in a matter-of-fact manner. Su-chan. Bending over, Sakura stroked Subaru's hair. This time, he didn't knock her hand away. Subaru said, "There are waiting for me at the end, waiting for me to grow big enough to swim across on my own, and they'll be waiting for me there, even if it takes a long time." Won't they? Kneeling down to be face level with Subaru, Syaoran replied gently. Of course they would, of course. And that's why Subaru has to be a good boy and work hard towards becoming a strong man in the future. The head of the orphanage tells me that I'm a problem child, that I'll grow up to be a delinquent. If I do die, she told me that I will go to hell because I am a bad boy. And bad boys go to hell and burn in a fiery pit for eternity. And I'll never be able to see mother and father, Subaru said in a matter-of-fact manner.
It's already 1. Let's go eat lunch, Syaoran said.
I want to eat pizza! Subaru exclaimed.
I never asked you, kid, Syaoran grumbled. I don't want to eat pizza.
No one asked your opinion, bully, Subaru retorted.
Giggling, Sakura thought. Syaoran's finally met his match and his 7-year-old.
What are you laughing at?
What are you laughing at? Syaoran and Subaru demanded simultaneously. After a meal of a big pan of pepperoni pizza, once again Subaru's choice, Sakura asked, So, should we do the cake now?
Yes, I want a huge chocolate cake with 7 candles, Subaru replied.
The waitresses gathered around the table with red and white helium balloons and sang Happy Birthday to the tune of the accordion and the rhythm of clapping. With a triumphant expression on his face, Subaru blew out all 7 candles in one try as colorful confetti streamed over him, and Sakura and an enthusiastic Syaoran cheered. Here's Subaru. You get the first piece, Sakura said, handing a huge slice of rich, creamily frosted chocolate cake to Subaru. Staring down at the cake, Subaru said, Oni-san? This cake is good. Try it, Syaoran, Sakura said in between mouthfuls of cake. Guiltily, Subaru continued, Actually, it's not my birthday today.
What? Syaoran exclaimed.
I wanted to spend the day away from the orphanage, so I lied to you, Oni-san, saying it was my birthday today so that you wouldn't return me, Subaru said. I'm sorry.
Smiling, Sakura replied, I know. Syaoran and Subaru stared at Sakura. Laughing sheepishly, Sakura explained, Actually, I saw your medical chart yesterday when you were getting your shot, Su-chan. Your birthday was last month.
But,
Subaru trailed off.
You mean you just played along?
Did you have fun today? Sakura asked, brushing the hair out of Subaru's eyes.
Yup, tons of fun. I got to eat ice cream for breakfast, see the sharks and the seahorses and the ugly eels, and have a birthday party too, Subaru replied.
Good. That's what's important, Sakura said.
Humph. You're smarter than you look, Kaiju Oni-san,
Subaru admitted reluctantly.
She is,
Syaoran muttered. He stared at Sakura's smiling face, half annoyed that she had let the kid tag along when it was unnecessary, half warmed by her consideration towards the boy.
I want one more birthday present then,
Subaru stated. Sure, what is it? Sakura asked.
I want you to kiss the grouchy Nissan, Subaru said with an angelic smile.
Both Sakura and Syaoran bonked Subaru on the head, identically red.
Ouch! I thought it was an enjoyable thing grown-ups do. If I weren't here to interrupt, would you have done it? No need to be embarrassed.
With a wicked grin, Subaru stared up at the blushing Syaoran and Sakura.
I saw the star-crossed video that Yuri Nissan brought over to show us. It took me some time to figure out that the Kaiju Nissan was the beautiful Juliet in the production. Anyway, do it again. The kiss.
They both bonked him on the head one more time.
Oh, fine. I think Oni-san deserves better than that ill-tempered Oni-san anyway. Oni-san can go out with me instead, Subaru stated. These days, 8-year-old difference is nothing at all.
What? Sakura gawked at the overconfident little boy. Syaoran burst out laughing, clutching his sides. Good luck. After they returned Subaru to the orphanage, Sakura and Syaoran slowly strolled back to their neighborhood. Though Subaru had been reluctant to return, Sakura and Syaoran promised to visit again. Sakura just hoped Subaru didn't get into too much trouble for running away the previous day. Why are you continuously chuckling to yourself? Sakura, unable to rid herself of blushing, demanded to Syaoran.
What an interesting kid,
Syaoran said in between chuckles.
I haven't been this amused in days. To think that little boy proposed to you. I wonder what he saw in you.
Shut up! Ignoring Syaoran, Sakura began to walk faster. Wolfie-chan trailed after her. All day long, he had patiently waited outside buildings, a little hurt because Subaru took away all the attention from him, but still glad to see Sakura. I'm going home now.
No, you're not, Syaoran stated firmly. You promised me dinner also. Finally, I get some time alone with you.
Huh? Halting, Sakura turned around. Wolfie-chan banged into her legs. Bending over to Wolfie-chan, Syaoran gently said,
Wolfie-chan, I'm really sorry, but now you have to go home and wait, okay?
At first, Wolfie-chan whimpered, then he nodded in consent. With a final wag of his tail, the puppy scampered down the road. Oh, wait, Wolfie-chan! Sakura called out in vain. Smugly, Syaoran said,
Wolfie-chan listens to me better to me than you now.
Before Sakura could come up with an indignant response, he continued,
Well, let's go.
Where are we going? Sakura asked, yawning. I'm exhausted already, and we have school tomorrow.
We are going to Tokyo to have dinner at a 5-star Italian restaurant, Syaoran replied.
What has come over Syaoran lately? Sakura wondered, as Syaoran grabbed her hand and ran to the train station. The dim light of the flickering candle illuminating the restaurant reflected off Syaoran's amused amber eyes. They were seated at a table for two by the window side, able to gaze out at the Tokyo night street. Though the full-course meal was delicious, Sakura had to choke it down. The atmosphere was completely different from simply eating dinner at Syaoran's apartment when she stayed there. Why are you so silent? Sakura stammered. Say something.
You're not supposed to eat Italian tiramisu with a spoon, Syaoran said out of the blue, taking a bite of the dessert with his fork. It tastes good either way, Sakura retorted. This wasn't the kind of conversation she wanted. By this time, she was starting to feel that the young man staring out at her through tousled dark brown bangs, sitting in front of her at this very moment, was a person she had just met recently. Why else would her heart be thudding so spontaneously? It was not a comfortable feeling. You did that last time, too, Syaoran insisted. You ate your seafood penne with spoon.
Oh, yeah. This restaurant is the one we came to this summer, Sakura recalled, ignoring Syaoran's criticisms. You kept me waiting an hour, too. And he had given her a beautiful, pale, white-blue rose, which she had pressed into a heavy book to dry.
I don't recall doing such a thing. All I remember is that our meal was ruined because we were spying on your uncle and grandfather. Guy really owes us big time. Just remembering all the trouble we went through this summer makes me dizzy.
It was fun, though.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you say you have something really important to tell me? Sakura asked, wiping the crumb off her lips with a napkin.
Weeks ago, Syaoran replied, implying that he was cross, but with a mild smile on his lips.
Sorry, Sakura said, feeling her perspiration on her neck. I'm ready to listen now. What is it?
Since you brought along the kid today, you owe me another Sunday, Syaoran replied, leaning back in the chair. I'll tell you next Sunday.
Fine, Sakura said, half wondering what kind of game Syaoran was playing at, dragging things out, half glad that she could spend even more time with him. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I think it was nice to spend the day with Subaru-chan. You saw how excited he was.
I never said anything. He's a decent kid, Syaoran said, though he has funny taste in girls.
You know, I was pretty surprised that the wave has been silent for a few days. Sakura said to change the subject, feeling compelled to start a conversation. I can't help thinking if it's okay just to leave it like this. I feel like it's building up to something bigger, especially because of the incident of the best couple contest this summer. I'm a little nervous. Oh yeah, just wait till we have some time on our hands. I'm going to get revenge on you and Kai-kun for making fun of me while I was 5 because of the age card. Don't look at me like that, as if you find it amusing. I'm serious. I'm really going to make you sorry. Stopping for breath, Sakura gaped at Syaoran. It wasn't like him to just listen to her chattering and not argue back. Shaking her head at Syaoran's indifference, Sakura continued. I was really shocked to hear about Eran and Erika. I knew their parents had passed away, but I guess I thought they lived with their relative or something. After all, the chain twins in the orphanage don't seem to match. And Erika used to be really frail because she had a weak heart. I heard from Yuri-chan that Eran was really protective of his sister. It's so rare that we see such sides of them. However, I can't help wondering if it's possible to bring out such sides. Eran is such a complex person, but I still can't help feeling drawn to his enigma, as if he's some kind of puzzle that I have to figure out and find out the truth.
Hey, can we talk about something else just for today?
Syaoran interrupted. A little hurt, Sakura said. I just thought you would be interested. Wasn't Syaoran always the one who would never distinguish business and regular life?
Actually, I'm more interested in why you found it so difficult to make time to meet a friend,
Syaoran said, glancing away from Sakura for the first time during that meal.
Just a single Sunday was all I asked for.
I'm sorry. It really was nothing personal, really, Sakura said softly.
Look, I'm not trying to make you apologize 1,000,000 times, Syaoran reassured. I'm sorry, too.
Why?
Huh? I don't know, Syaoran stammered. Because I'm making you feel uncomfortable right now?
Smiling slightly, Sakura thought, it's not your attitude, presence, or your words that's making me nervous right now. It's simply the atmosphere of the restaurant, that's all. That's what I want to believe. Since when have I felt this way in front of you, though? This flustered and baffled. There was a time when I felt at complete ease with you, when I didn't see you differently from any other person. Wasn't there? I don't know why or how, but you know me so well when I hardly know you at all. Yet somehow these days, I think I'm going to know you. I think I'm getting to know you a little better. Syaoran? Actually, there was something I wanted to say to you also, Sakura said. From her bag, she drew out a rectangular package wrapped in green and white striped paper. I'm sorry, this is nothing much, but I just wanted to express my gratitude for all that you've done for me the past few months while I stayed at your house. I'm kind of broke, so I couldn't get you anything more fancy, but I'll buy you dinner next time. Carefully, Syaoran opened the box. In it were 2 mugs, one pale green and one rose pink. Each had a teddy bear on the face of the mug. He hid a grin. How Sakura-like. Laughing sheepishly, Sakura said, I guess that's something more of what I would buy myself. And then the teddy bears were so cute. The real reason I brought mugs is because of how I remember how your favorite green mug. Do you remember how your favorite green mug disappeared?
Yeah.
Syaoran raised an eyebrow. Actually, I broke it last time I was washing the dishes, and I threw away the broken pieces before you saw it, because I was afraid you'd get mad at me. Sorry. Sakura bent down her head in repentance.
I always wondered where that mug disappeared to,
Syaoran said, fingering the teddy bear on the green mug. Then he touched the pink mug.
There are 2 mugs. You only broke one.
Well, they came in a set, Sakura explained hastily. Grinning, Syaoran said,
But I only need 1 mug. I guess the other one is for my guest.
Oh, Malin or Kai can use it, Sakura said quickly. Carefully setting the mugs back in the box and putting it in his bag, Syaoran said,
Nope, I'm going to reserve it for a very special guest only.
Really? Sakura said, already knowing who, but wanting to hear it from Syaoran's own lips. Who?
You'll see,
Syaoran replied, heading towards the counter to pay the bills.
Oh, well, should we start heading back? I guess it's too late to watch a movie since we have school tomorrow.
Yeah, Oni-chan must be worried. It's already 9, Sakura said.
Maybe we should see a movie after all, Syaoran commented.
Cutting Syaoran off, Sakura urged, Hurry, so we don't miss the train. The train was very crowded, and Sakura and Syaoran barely squeezed in. Ouch! Someone shoved Sakura into the corner, and another person knocked her aside.
Sakura, keep in sight with me,
Syaoran called over the heads of the people, trying to make his way to Sakura's side.
I didn't know there'd be this many people. We should have just taken a cab.
Whee! Barely escaping being smothered by 2 huge men, Sakura grabbed onto the handle as the train started. Before she lost her balance, she bumped into Syaoran's chest. Suddenly, there was a screech, and the train halted. All the standing people collided into each other. Syaoran shielded Sakura from the shoving people.
What's the matter?
People demanded. We're not at the station yet. The next moment, there was vibration throughout the train cars and a large thud sound. This was followed by consecutive shaking in the cars. Finally, squeezing out the door, Sakura looked back, expecting to see Syaoran, yet he was nowhere in view. Then she caught sight of him helping an old woman get off the train. Again, that fluttering feeling in her heart ran a tingle down her spine.
Hurry, Sakura! We have to get out of the station,
Syaoran said after making sure that the old lady was safely out of the range of hordes of people rushing out of the train. It's the wave again, Sakura said, running to catch up with Syaoran. They walked out into the streets, flocked with people who had left the trains in a hurry. The ground beneath them shook again, and Sakura stumbled.
Where do you get such poor balance? Syaoran asked, sighing in exasperation.
From my mother, probably, Sakura replied sheepishly.
Weren't you supposed to be a gymnastic star of Seiju Junior High?
Syaoran muttered. Yet Sakura wasn't listening. She had already run into the direction of the dark force. After running for a minute, Sakura halted, panting. I lost track of the dark force. I thought I felt the aura coming from this direction, but I guess I was wrong. Oh, it's strange. I can't locate the wave. It feels like it's coming from all different directions.
Obviously, since it's the wave, its powers reverberates and spreads out in all different directions, Syaoran replied. That's why you have to concentrate extra hard and find the center of it, not where it radiates out its aura.
I hate it when you try to sound all smart, Sakura said, crouching on the ground since her legs ached.
I'm not trying to sound smart. I'm just telling you the straight facts, Syaoran said.
You know what's strange? Sakura asked, standing up again, accepting that once more she had lost track of the wave. I used to be really determined to conquer the Dark Ones. I was convinced that the righteous would always win, that everything would work out in my favor. And then I began to think, who is the righteous one? What am I really doing? Why am I fighting the Dark Ones? I think it's foolish to be fighting the Dark Ones when I don't even know the reason why.
Well, they're attacking us for one thing, and harming innocent people for another, Syaoran said dryly.
But why? Do you truly believe that Eran and Erika are different from us? Sakura asked. Kiro-chan told me that the original Dark Ones have some desire or revenge, a long-rot hate sprung in the air of the great 5 sorcerers. Then Kaido Magician entered the picture. He stole the 5 Force treasures from us and the Dark One also, yet I don't consider him a villain figure. He also has his reasons. He has to collect the 5 Force treasures. When Irokun attacked me 5 years ago, it was because he wanted to make me a strong new mistress for the Cloud Cards. And when you fight, it is because you want to uphold your family honor and the title of the Lee Clan Chosen One. Yet I alone have no intrinsic motive at all. I don't want to fight the Dark Ones. Not in that I want to defeat them and destroy them. Neither do I want immense power or recognition either. I don't even want to fight under my mother's name, nor the great magician Amiya, my far-off ancestor's name, because I believe my mother was a peaceful person at heart, and I do not know anything about Amiyama-sama. So, why am I fighting, and who am I fighting so desperately for?
That's such a silly thing to ponder about, Syaoran scoffed in a tone which piffled Sakura. Haven't you realized it yet? You're not fighting for any stupid old intrinsic motive. You're fighting because you have no choice, because it's the responsibility you have from the blood that runs through your veins.
Playing with the idea, Sakura commented, I don't really like that concept either.
I didn't think you would,
Syaoran said, grinning crookedly before becoming solemn again.
So, continue to think that you're fighting for righteousness. After all, you alone have the purest of motives for the sole sake of defending yourself and the people you love. Isn't that the best motive of all? You're not fighting in any way to benefit yourself. You're completely unselfish. Long ago, the 5 greatest magicians of the world formed a circle, the circle of the 5 forces, joining hands to combine and use their gift to benefit humankind, to prevent competition and rivalry between the most important people in the world. Now, in the modern day world, the circle has collapsed. Yet what will we be able to keep order and balance in this perilous world of power and greed? Sakura, you alone will be able to keep the equilibrium, because you are the center of the current magical world, the nucleus of a star. You will extend your arms out at all points of the star to all the lost wonders lusting for more power, reminiscing the glory of the past, and rotting away from the curse of their ancestors.
Noticing that a lost expression had washed over Sakura's face, Syaoran said lightly,
Look, it's not because of your magical powers or ancestry which makes you the way you are right now. You're not an especially special chosen one either. You're simply you. It's probably because your existence rather than your magical powers which sets you apart from others. So, I think you should start taking more pride and credit for the role you play in the magician's world now.
Shaking her head, Sakura said, I don't see what point you're driving at. Not at all.
It's not that difficult of a concept, Syaoran replied. I'm no Cloud Reed who believes that everything is predetermined, because I think you induce the situation you're in upon yourself. Do you need a more thorough explanation? I'll tell you. You already began the process by becoming friends with Tomeo, as well as having the support of your brother and father. But really, it all started 6 years ago when you first befriended your brother's best friend, Yukito-san. The first point of your solid allies, later to become Yue, one of your guardians. Then Kiro, your second guardian to be accepted you as card captor. Then, when I came here from Hong Kong, believe it or not, I'm the first person of the star you extended your arms to and defiantly gained. And I thank you for accepting me. Unlike me, you also were drawn to Mizuki-sensei and won yourself another powerful ally. Obviously, Karaberis and Yue both accepted you with Yue's judgment. So you became the card mistress. Next, Earl came to Tomata to test your skills. Once more, you won him over with your charm, which also won over Yue and Kyubarra's counterparts, Ruby Moon and Spindle Sun. As of now, these 7 people correspond to 7 points of a 12-pointed star.
What's with your star analogy? Sakura asked, dumbfounded yet fascinated.
Haven't you noticed the magic circle which appears when you release your staff? It's your own symbol, like Clow Reed had his own sun circle. Yours has a 5-pointed star in the center where you stand. This star represents you. It overlaps another 5-pointed star, each of the 5 points representing the Great Five. Amiya, Lee, Reed, Mizuki, and the last one is probably Chain. Encircling these is the large 12-pointed star. Each point is for each person of the special power that you have drawn into your own special. As I said before, 7 spots are already definite and filled. Last year, the Dark Ones have appeared, so 2 more points are reserved for the legendary twins. For one day, you will win them over to your side. If such a day comes.
Optimistic thoughts coming from Lee Syaoran. Sakura murmured, "Will such a day come?"
The 10th point, if I'm not mistaken, is that rascal problem-causing thief you insisted on befriending. But again, you reached your hands out to him, and he is starting to sway towards your circle.
Syaoran continued. Kaikun, Sakura repeated.
Yes, haven't you noticed his special aura around him? It's subtle, yet it's still strong,
Syaoran said.
And finally, there are 2 spots left for 2 new people to appear and fill in the near-far future. Once all these spots are filled, once everyone has joined, equilibrium, disrupted since the golden age of the Great Five, will finally be reached in the magical world.
These novel ideas were intricate for Sakura to absorb completely, for it didn't seem possible that the equilibrium that Syaoran talked of could be restored by her. Oh well, for the moment, all she could do was try her best to survive day by day and maybe find out Aaron and Erika's real motives. The earthquake ceased again, Sakura said. I hope there weren't too many casualties or damages caused by it.
We really need to track it down as soon as we can, Syaoran said. But before thinking of that, I think we should return home.
Oi, how are we going to get home? Sakura panicked. Should we call a cab? Are there any buses?
Shh, there aren't any people around here. This is when it becomes convenient to have magical powers. Call the unicorn or something,
Syaoran said, glancing around the streets surreptitiously. Really? I can really do something like that. You won't get mad at me for being irresponsible or frivolous or anything? Sakura fumbled for the key hanging from a chain around her neck.
Sakura?
Clearly, Syaoran hadn't been paying attention to her rambling. Yeah?
What do you really think my motives for fighting against the Dark Ones are?
Syaoran asked solemnly, staring into the starless night sky. It's obvious. To uphold your family honor as the Lee clan chosen one, Sakura replied.
You really think so?
What else?
Sakura, why do you think I came to Japan 5 years ago?
That's even more obvious. To capture the cloud cards for the Lee clan, Sakura replied, getting more baffled at Syaoran's pointless questions, which were heading nowhere.
Then why did I stay in Japan after the cloud cards were captured?
Because strange things started happening in Tomata, and you might have wanted to meet Clow Reed, Sakura answered. What point are you trying to make? Shaking his head, Syaoran said,
Never mind. Let's return home.
Syaoran's acting so strange today.
Maybe he's still mad that I brought along Subaru today. Without further thought, Sakura released the unicorn. But all the same, I hate it when he doesn't finish his thoughts. He's always so vague and ambitious and ambiguous.
Sakura-chan, don't fall asleep, Tomeo whispered into Sakura's ears during math lesson the next day. Ooh, were you out with Syaoran-kun late in the night yesterday?
Sakura blinked, trying not to let her eyes shut again. Her brother had been furious once more that she had returned home around midnight last night, even though she had explained the trains and the shutdown. It was uncanny how her brother always knew it when she met Syaoran. Before she could whisper back a proper response, she felt Syaoran seated behind her flinch and drop his pen to the ground. Then she too felt a sharp bolt ripple through her body. The feeling she received when an extremely powerful force was nearby. Bolting up, she shouted, "Earthquake!" Huh? The math teacher stopped in the midst of an explanation, ready to scold Sakura for interrupting the class. Before the teacher could do so, an extremely powerful quake shook the building. The vase on the teacher's desk smashed onto the floor, and books fell off the desk. It was the worst quake that Tometa had received of yet, and was followed by another one and another one. Most students had crouched under their desk. Sakura's cool green eyes flitted to Syaoran, who was sitting calmly at his desk. He looked up at her and smiled, only to be greeted by Sakura's hard stare. Once school was dismissed, the journalism club members headed straight to the hospital. The hospital was crowded to the point that it was chaotic, and the doctors and nurses were tenser and busier than usual. Seemingly, a few buildings had collapsed and caught fire. There were no deaths. There were quite a few serious injuries and many broken joints, heart attacks, and car accidents. Toya rushed up to Sakura. "Hey, Sakura, you and Chain-kun, and you, Mizuki-kin. Where were you last time? You come too. Anyway, we have to rush over to the orphanage. The head of the orphanage fell down the stairs during the earthquakes earlier on today and broke her hip bone. She's in the hospital right now, so they need extra help there." If Sakura had been surprised at the fuss and noise children could make on her previous visit to the orphanage, that would have been called music compared to the state of the orphanage that day. The assistant had given up in despair, lying down on the couch faintly. The other assistant had assisted the head of the orphanage to the hospital and was gone. Diligent as always, Yuri alone was trying her best to tend to the problems of the 20 or so children of ages ranging from 3 to 14. As calm as she usually was, she looked near tears. "The children didn't have lunch yet, but I don't have the spare hand to make food right now," Yuri explained in desperation, stroking a child's head. "Hush now, here's a banana." "Kaiju-ni-san, I'm starving!" Subaru exclaimed, jumping down from a chest. He had been in the middle of playing bandits. "I think I can eat an Annie doll at this point." "No!" Holding the doll close to her chest, the girl stuck her tongue out at Subaru. "You had 5 cookies when the rest of us only had 2. How can you still be hungry?" "Kai-kun, go to the pizza store and bring over 4 pans of pizza and 5 bottles of Coke," Sakura said. "Your treat." "Why do I have to go?" Kai grumbled. "Because you ditched school again," Sakura said simply. "Hurry now." Fine. Kai hurried out. Before leaving the room, Kai glanced at Syaoran's left ear demurely. "New earring? It's a pretty sapphire jewel. Not as pretty as blood red rubies, though. Probably not as useful either." "I'll crush that self-confident face of yours, Kaido Magician," Syaoran murmured so quietly that only Kai could catch his words. In return, Kai merely grinned, much to Syaoran's annoyance. The ground shook once more as Kai left, startling the younger children.
See, I told you, Subaru said to the younger children. The earth monster is mad, so it's trembling with anger. Soon it's going to open its mouth wide and swallow us all up.
That's not true, an older boy scoffed.
Oh, yes, it is. You know why the head disappeared. She was a bad woman, so the earth monster swallowed her up,
Subaru stated confidently.
Really?
The children asked in fear. No, she broke her hip, so she's being treated in the hospital right now, Sakura defended, glaring at Subaru. Su-chan, stop making up lies. You and one of my classmates would get along really well. Yet the ground shook once more violently than before, and it shook again 3 more times, each time more startling. Even Sakura felt nauseous. Sakura-chan, don't you think we better evacuate this building? Yuri asked, frowning. The earthquakes are getting worse, and I'm afraid this house will just collapse on top of all of us. Half the children were crying, and the other half were near tears, many of them holding on to each other's hands. It was the first time they had experienced such disorder and confusion. The almighty resilient head of the orphanage was injured, the assistant was faint, and even Yuri was panicking. Uneasiness and tension brimmed in the room. To Sakura's dismay, she heard the building's frames creak. Or was it her imagination? A tile from the roof slid off and crashed to the ground outside. The children shrieked.
What's happening, Kaiju-ni-san?
Subaru demanded, fingers plugged in his ears.
Stop it right now!
Oh, where's Aron-kun? Yuri asked, her voice even yet strained. I think it's best if we get out right now. I'm not sure how sturdy this building is. All I know is that these earthquakes are coming nearer and nearer towards this area, and I don't want the roof to fall over our head. Wait a second. I'll go find Aron-kun. Gather everyone into this room, Sakura told Yuri. Tell them not to panic. As she'd expected, Sakura found Aron sitting on the back porch steps, unruffled as usual. He was calmly staring into nothingness. Stomping up in front of him, Sakura demanded, Jane Aron, stop this right now! Please! Fiddling with a gem, which looked like a wide open eye hanging from a black cord around his neck, Aron asked coolly, Stop what? Stop these earthquakes! Sakura replied, furious that Aron seemed so calm. If you were so smart to figure out that I'm causing them, if I am causing them, why don't you simply attack me? Aron asked, looking up. This was the first time Sakura had confronted him in this manner. The ground beneath Sakura's feet trembled as the tension in the land built up. Why did you come up to me and plead to cease that I am doing? Do you really think this is the wise thing to do? You're walking into a spider web with your own 2 feet. This time the ground shook so abruptly that Sakura was knocked to her feet. As she tried to stand up, the ground shook again and Sakura collapsed onto the ground once more. Her head swirled round and round as she tried to stare into Aron's amused golden eyes. Never before had they looked so menacing. Often she thought they were mysterious and indecipherable, but now they looked scornful and even more untouchable. The more I look at you, Kitamoto Sakura, the more I realize what a fool my opponent is. Aron continued. It's a pity. You're so stupid and you're boring. It was strange to hear such cruel, harsh words drip out of Aron's mouth, for he usually carefully chose his words and managed to keep a refined air around him. In her kneeled state, Sakura forced herself to stare into Aron's golden-flecked hazel eyes. I don't care if I'm stupid. I don't care if you attack me, or harm me, or hate me. All I ask, Aron-kun, is to stop involving and injuring innocent people. I don't care if you want to make me suffer that much because you hate me. Hate me all you want to. Send all the dark forces in the world to attack me. Make me bleed. I won't reproach you. Maybe someday I'll know the reason why. But Aaron, you have a kind heart. I know. You're the kind of boy who loved his sister so much that he would do anything to protect her. You're the kind of boy who fixes a broken doll for a crying girl. You're the type of boy—
Shut up!
Aaron said, his usually elegantly arched eyebrows furrowed down, his beautiful face contorted in anger. For a change, such a fierce expression Sakura had never seen on his or any other person's face before. He continued in a soft and dangerous voice.
Don't jump to any conclusions just because I told you a little about my childhood.
The ground beneath Sakura split open so that one side rose higher than the other, tossing Sakura over onto her face. Her body was covered in dirt. Stubbornly, Sakura pulled herself up again. Despite the fact the ground beneath her was shaking unstably, the screams of the children inside the building could be heard. Kneeling in front of Aaron again, head bowed down, Sakura repeated, "Can't you see? If the earthquakes continue, the orphanage is going to collapse. Don't harm the children. That's the one favor I will ever ask of you. Please don't hurt innocent people, Aaron-kun. Please. It's not too much to ask, is it?" She stared up with glassy emerald eyes. "Is it?" She held out a pinky to Aaron, a gesture of promising, smiling, pleadingly.
Put aside such nonsense, Aaron exclaimed, knocking her hand away.
Sakura said, "I like Aaron-kun. I like Aaron-kun a lot. I think family business is family business and friends are friends. Though blood may be thicker than friendship, trust runs even deeper than blood. I think I want to try trusting you, Aaron-kun. I think you have and are capable of more good in you than you are aware of. Despite what you think, I believe humans are worthy of redemption. So please promise me that you won't harm innocent people in pursuit of the Dark One's revenge." Aaron's knuckles were turning wider and wider as he clutched his necklace. Then he noticed the ground beneath Sakura start to shift again. She was ignoring it, obstinately holding out her little pinky finger towards him. The crack she was kneeling on was starting to widen.
"Sakura, move out of the way!"
Aaron exclaimed abruptly, surprised as the words left his mouths. "Hui!" Sakura stumbled back as the ground beneath her cracked open at a rapid rate. Without thinking, Aaron leaped up from his seated position, shoving Sakura's body out of danger's way. The spot Sakura was sitting on seconds ago was completely jagged and dangerously angled. Had she remained there, her bones would have been crushed. Dazed, Sakura picked herself off the ground, brushing the dust off her clothes. Slowly setting up himself, Aaron stared at his dirt-covered hands. What had he just done? He had thrown his body over Sakura to prevent her from being injured from the dark force that he himself had sent out. Who was the more foolish one now? Thank you, Aaron-kun, Sakura stammered. Clearly, she was even more startled than Aaron at his actions. Ignoring her words, Aaron sat on his knees looking haunted. In a hoarse voice, he said,
"Sakura, I'm just curious about one thing."
"What is it?" Sakura asked uneasily.
"Why do you bother to be kind to me or Rika?"
Aaron asked. "Do I need a reason?" Sakura asked back. She recalled that summer at the beachside when Syaoran had confronted her with the same question. Back then she had replied, "Because they are still only humans before they are my enemies. I want to know the reason why they are doing this. I want to get to know them not as someone to be cautious of and to distance myself from,
but as someone who I can discover different sides of, the good and the bad sides.
Aaron too recalled the conversation he had overheard during the whole best couple contest business. It had left him dumbfounded, perplexed, and bewildered. The girl he had thought so dumb had known everything, and even more, had kept it a secret because she wanted to show him sympathy, or maybe even give him a chance to prove himself. Prove what? That he too was only human? Slowly, Aaron replied,
Does one need a reason?
He answered himself.
I guess not. Because you are Kinemoto Sakura.
And you're only Aaron-kun, Sakura stated whimsically. For what is in a name, that which we call a rose shall smell just as sweet were it called by something else. At this allusion to Romeo and Juliet, Aaron managed to smile slightly. Aaron-kun is like a beautiful crystal rose, returning people who want to admire it and touch it with prickly thorns. In ways, even Enrique-chan's policy is better. At least she outright states it when she dislikes a person, when she's dissatisfied with something, or when she's annoyed. She doesn't keep it all in herself, letting that hatred rot away from inside, and the flesh which is concealed by that crystal encasing it. Aaron-kun's problem is that you try to hide away any flaws with perfection and distance, like a cold glacier. That is why, when people approach you, you end up hurting them, because you feel compelled to repel them with this icy barrier.
So I am a crystal rose with prickly thorns,
Aaron repeated with a mocking curve of his lips.
Do I repel you, Sakura? When people try to touch me, do I leave them only to bleed? Is that the impression you get of me?
Recalling the cruel rejection of Yuri, Sakura bit her lip. She hadn't meant to let such words, her inner thoughts, flow out her mouth so easily. Yet, when Aaron stared at her without any words, as if prodding her to continue, she couldn't help but blurt out such nonsense. I'm sorry, Aaron-kun. I didn't mean to say such stuff. For a moment, Aaron remained silent. It was disturbing how such a seemingly simplistic girl could so easily crack his exterior mask and state so outright everything there was to his character. Was he that transparent when he was supposed to be so unapproachable? How could someone who barely know him so well? Yet he didn't want to acknowledge that fact, that this girl knew him better, even better than his own twin sister.
You're such a silly girl, Sakura,
Aaron murmured, shaking his head in disdain. Sheepishly, Sakura replied, Maybe I am. The tremors grew less frequent as the earthquake ceased. Finally, Aaron said,
I can't guarantee anything. And I swear I'll win you over, Sakura, but I'll try my best not to harm innocent people.
At first, Sakura stared at Aaron unexpectedly, disbelieving her ears. Really? Aaron-kun, really? Sakura smiled wildly, grabbing onto Aaron's hand. Thank you, Aaron-kun, thank you.
Did my heart just thud right now? Up till now, I never realized that my heart was capable of beating. I thought when I became a crystal rose, my heart too froze and ceased to beat like a human heart. I said there are no guarantees, Aaron replied, clearly uncomfortable. You seem to look upon your enemy too lightly. I'll prove to you that the Dark Ones are not to be taken so easily, and that you shall regret the day you set eyes on us.
Okay, Sakura said, extremely happily.
That's nothing to be excited about,
Aaron said, sweat dropping, yet Sakura's smile was so bright.
She's stupid. How can she be happy just because I said I would not harm innocent people? I wonder how someone who's been through all that she has can still smile so brightly like that. Like a child. Like a child. Are all humans really children at heart?
Now I know for sure Aron-kun is a good person in the core, Sakura said.
I'm not, Aron replied grimly. I'm rotten to the core. You said yourself that I'm rotting away beneath the flesh.
Hanging her head down, Sakura said, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to put things so unflatteringly.
I accept that you did not speak any untruth, but one thing you were mistaken about. I do not hate you, Sakura. Not at all.
Really? Sakura stared hard at Aron, who now had a somewhat contemplative expression on his face. Lately, she had seen so many different nuances of Aron's facial expressions, more than she ever thought he was capable of possessing and expressing.
I'm accursed and twisted in every single way, Aron continued, his expression going grimmer as his fingers moved to that strange reddish-black crystal around his neck.
Sometimes I think you induce unhappiness upon yourself. Sakura sighed, deeply disturbed by the shadow cast over Aron's face, which had been smiling just moments ago.
Maybe I do, Aron replied. Say, Sakura, isn't it strange conversation for us two to be having?
Not at all, Sakura said. I've known Aron-kun for over a year, yet I feel like this is the first time you've ever opened up to me.
God knows why I'm telling you all these things, Aron said, shaking his head. It's madness. You know it too, don't you?
I learned long ago it's best to separate business and friendship, Sakura replied. For as long as it's possible, and what is to come will come eventually. But until then, we can just try to get along as peacefully and happily as possible.
Peacefully and happy. Us? Aron scoffed. You know, all I ever wanted was for my sister to have a healthy heart, for us to live happily together. That's simple, really. Funny coming from me, isn't it? Is that too much for a person like me to ask?
Aron broke off, his breath becoming shorter. The ground trembled the slightest bit, but Aron clenched the gem with a tight fist.
Is it too much for one to ask?
He repeated. An uneasy aura, a dire blackness, was radiating out of the crystal. Sakura noticed. Aron stumbled forward, panting. Aron-kun, are you okay? She asked.
I think I am, but maybe I'm not. At times, I don't think I can hold out much longer, Aron whispered. An electric pain pulsed through his blood vessels, and he groaned.
Aron-kun, what's the matter? Sakura asked, reaching over to support Aron.
Don't touch me!
Aron exclaimed, jumping back and startling Sakura. His golden eyes were wide and dilated.
Don't come near me.
What's the matter with you? Sakura asked, frowning with bewilderment. She stepped forward. Let me feel your forehead. I think you have a fever.
Don't come a single step closer to me right now, or else I might really hurt you, Aron said. For it's my fate to conquer you and end this misery.
Hurt me then, Aron-kun, Sakura said, eyes blurring with tears to see Aron in such agony. If that'll stop that black aura enveloping you, then attack me.
You can see it? The aura?
Aron asked, holding out his hands, palms up. A smoky, black, cloud-like aura wove through his fingers and up his wrist to his arms. Then he flinched and crumpled to the ground again. Aron-kun! Hesitantly, Sakura placed a hand on his shoulder. He was shivering uncontrollably, and his skin was burning hot, even through the cloth of his shirt. In fact, she doubted a regular person could be alive with such a body temperature. What's wrong with your body? Aron stared at Sakura with haunted, overcast eyes. Never before had she seen such a lifeless look come from a live person's eyes. Tell me, Aron-kun, what can I do for you? Sakura asked,
brows creased with worry. Drawing Sakura into his arms, Adon said, "Sakura, you're really a good person. You really are. I can't hate you even if I wanted to." Being so close to Adon, Sakura was even more unsettled to find that Adon's heartbeat was faster than a person who had run a marathon, and now his body was chilly, to the point that it was icy. She couldn't help wondering how normal it was for body temperature to be burning hot one second and icy cold the next. It's okay. I'm okay now. I just need to catch my breath," Adon said faintly, slightly recovering control. The next few words Adon said were whispered so quietly that Sakura could never decipher if she had imagined it or if it truly came from Adon's lips. Yet it sounded like, "Save me, Sakura."
After his hospital duty had ended, Syaoran walked over to Maylin's room. He felt rather guilty because he had rather neglected her lately. At the same time, she never looked too happy to see him when he did visit her. When he entered the room, he found that the bed was empty and a nurse was tidying up the room.
Do you know where Lee Maylin is?" Syaoran asked the nurse.
"She's having a checkup," the nurse replied. "The doctor will bring her back in a few minutes. You can wait here."
"Okay."
Walking into the room, Syaoran sat down on a chair by the bedside. Adon, Sakura, and Kai still hadn't returned from the orphanage. "You know, it's really funny that Lee-san seems to want to stay in the hospital longer or something," the nurse chattered on. "She could have been released a couple days ago, though she would have to return for regular checkups, but she insisted on staying in the hospital." Why would Maylin do such a thing like that? He had thought that she'd be eager to be released.
"Oh, really?"
Syaoran asked, trying not to sound too interested. He wanted to be left alone and didn't want to encourage the nurse to continue her chatter. As he desired, the nurse left the room. Judging from the mess of the room, Maylin had no intention of leaving it anytime soon. Of course, neither she nor Kai, who visited so often, would pick up after her stuff. Sighing, Syaoran began to gather the scattered magazines on the ground. Then he picked up a book, an ancient-looking Chinese book, something that Maylin rarely read. As he examined it, a crisp envelope slipped from its yellowed pages and floated to the ground. Hesitantly, he picked it up and turned it around. To his surprise, it was addressed to him from his mother. Was it a letter to him? Then why hadn't Maylin given it to him? Because she was hiding its contents? With trembling fingers, Syaoran tore open the envelope. Out of it slipped a single 3-way folded paper. Unfolding it, he read his mother's neat and even handwriting. "Dear Lee Syaoran, you probably know that you have heard the news from Maylin already. I thought it was best you hear it from your cousin, so I haven't contacted you before. As you know, the different factions of the Lee clan have been quite tense lately, especially since the Great Elder has collapsed. Currently, I am tending to him at the inner house, and though his health is greatly wasted from overwork, he is no longer in dire peril. My dear Syaoran, please do not take the decision of the Lee clan inner council to remove you as the chosen one too harshly. It is not your fault. I understand completely that what you're doing in Japan is equally important, if not more important than anything the clan can order you to do here in Hong Kong. Yet, you must also remember that it is partially your fault for neglecting all duties to the clan as the chosen one. You left Hong Kong against the wishes of the elders and your own mother. It's been over a year since then, and you haven't returned even for a visit. The inner council members and your eldest uncle are growing impatient with you. It is natural that they took the opportunity when the great elder fell ill and couldn't protect you to condemn you. However, their decision to remove you as the chosen one is merely a threat. Please return to Hong Kong immediately, and such talk won't arise again. Think wisely, Syaoran. I have faith in your decision-making skills. I'm not asking you to return forever, nor am I telling you to abandon all that you have established in Japan.
I'm merely telling you it is the wisest to submit to the wishes of your uncle and the inner council and come back home for the time being. Your father probably would have given you the same advice. After all, you are the sole destined chosen one of our generation. Love, Li Yelin. It would be lying to say he wasn't startled and shaken by the letter, though his uncle had warned him from the beginning that Syaoran of the consequences of not returning to Hong Kong. Syaoran hadn't expected his uncle to carry out the threat of removing him as chosen one so suddenly. Though he would have liked more time to process his thoughts, Melanie at the moment returned from the therapy room, pushed in a wheelchair by a nurse. Syaoran, you were waiting for me? Despite her bright smile, she didn't look at all glad to see him, and now Syaoran knew why. The nurse helped Melanie onto the bed again, and before leaving, shutting the door shut. Surreptitiously, Syaoran crumpled the letter in his hand into a ball and slipped it into his pocket, keeping a nonchalant expression. I heard your leg is much better now.
Huh? Yeah, Melanie said. The doctor told her she could be released any day she chose. So, how did the date yesterday go?
What date? Sakura brought along a little kid from the orphanage, Syaoran said, scowling. We spent the day babysitting.
Really? I wish I could have seen that. Melanie laughed out loud. Oh yeah, have you seen Kai lately?
Huh? Oh, he skipped school today again. But he turned up for volunteer work. He went to the orphanage with Sakura and Syaoran. Syaoran said, thinking about it, he never comes home to the apartment anymore. Isn't he always here with you?
No, Melanie said slowly. For the past several days, he always shows up in the late afternoon in the children's playroom and stays till early in the evening. Then he disappears in the nighttime. Until the next afternoon, God knows where. I've given up on him.
Oh, if I'd known, I would have stopped by more often,
Syaoran said weakly. Had Melanie thought he was not capable of handling such dismaying news? Was that why she'd been keeping it from him? Did she not believe in his ability to handle his own life? No, I'm fine on my own. It's nice and quiet here, Melanie lied glibly. Well, you must be tired working the entire day. Why don't you go home and rest? I think I'd like to sleep now.
Okay then, I'll come again tomorrow,
Syaoran said, slowly getting up.
Rest well.
Thanks, Syaoran, Melanie said, closing her eyes. Upon leaving the room, Syaoran took out the crumpled letter from his pocket, staring at it hard, tense with deep contempt and frustration. The words, Syaoran, please do not take the decision of the Li clan inner council to remove you as the chosen one too harshly. It is not your fault, stared out at him boldly. He took a last glance at the bitter letter. Then he tore up the letter into shreds, throwing it into the trash can without a single thought, on his way out of the hospital. The clock struck midnight. Standing on the highest building top, Kaito Magician stared down at the distant, abandoned streets. His black cloak fanned out in the wind. After being cooped up for so long, pressured under various people, the sense of liberation thrilled him. A cold, murderous expression swept over his face as he leapt off the rooftop onto the next building. He could never escape his past. Once a criminal, always a criminal.